Playmakers didn't show up again, especially Pierce, who took time out to shag his dog in the sheds. No drama. El Drake 4 theatres tomorrow night. Oh, I hope it was good.
The time on the game was, there was a big hold up, weren't there, whilst Alex Mellor got treated with what people were worried was a serious sort of neck or spine injury at the time. Thankfully, Leeds forward Alex Mellor has been cleared of serious injury on his neck after the game. The 27-year-old received a lengthy period of treatment on the field before being taken to hospital as a precaution, but Mellor was allowed to return home after being assessed. So, should be, in the medium term, all fine for Alex Mellor on that one. Fitting point to slip in that news story, I think. John Hamilton said, a decent start again with some bright performances, just unable to convert into points through tough Catalan defence and handling errors. Leeds need to be better in the final third of the pitch in order to threaten teams. We've also swapped a scrum half who goes missing in big games for one who just goes missing.
Carsten says, that wasn't entertaining and I'm not amused. I just hope Mellor is okay. P.S. Bloody Chris Kendall.
Leighton Rhino says, thought Leeds were a bit better defensively at times, but zero penetration in attack. I was expecting Longy to have worked out lots of attacks over pre-season, but we didn't seem to even attempt anything that looked like a coached play. Vanilla rugby league and rubbish to watch.
Pablo Viking says, a game that lacked attractive rugby. A herd game that was more of a forwards battle. Catalan slightly the better team.
Rich Wilkinson said, we could have played all week and not scored in the second half. Cannot understand why McIlaurin wasn't binned. However, the ref standards are the least of Leeds' worries.
And finally, Steve Matthews says, those high tackles and yellow cards are getting ridiculous. Why isn't a penalty enough? It can't be a sin bin every time it's high.
So we have one person wanting more sin bins in the game and one person wanting less.
That's all. Hey, isn't that always the way?
I think we've got it covered, kids, is what we're saying from those last two reviews, which is good. I agree with Rich that the McIlaurin one could and should have been a yellow. Clearly, it's been given a grade A careless high tackle charge, so he's got a one match penalty notice because it's Michael McIlaurin. Of course, he's had a ban in the last 12 months. So he's at the higher end of the grading, as we talked about on last week's show. But yeah, it came over the shoulder. It was the kind of the back of the hand rather than a fist or a like. Well, yeah, it was careless. It was led to a head knock. It's not what we want to be seeing anymore in the game. I disagree with some of the outcry. And Stephen kind of is the only person who's got in a view really that's summed it up to an extent. But at the time, and also from McNamara, particularly after the game, there was a lot of outcry about the Pierce yellow card. And I saw like the stuff about it when I was on my way out of the ground at Wigan. And then when I watched it back after I got home, I thought it was a yellow all day. He's got a caution rather than a charge. I think he could have got a grade A charge for Allen. Because to me, he left the floor a little bit. I don't know if he jumped completely, but certainly he wasn't planted on the floor kind of thing when he went into the tackle. He was rising into the tackle. I think he'd lost a bit of control. So I think it was careless. I certainly think it looked like a yellow card to me. It was kind of direct-ish head contact. I don't know. Anyway,
that's exactly what I've noted. That when I watched the highlights back, it was direct head contact, and that's been a yellow card for quite a while now. So yeah, it's a yellow card. That isn't any different.
Yeah. Talking about some of the things that impressed me, I know you caught the highlights. Watching the game as a whole, McMeekin at prop was really good. I'm not sure it's a position he wants to play regularly, but it worked in this game, in a game where Catalans needed someone in that position. He came in, he played really well, so especially his opening stint. He was all over the place in a good way, making lots of tackles, making lots of carries. I think he deserves credit for his performance. I'm not sure why like McIlaurin was so heralded on the coverage as a man of the match. I know he had a good second half and was kind of important in controlling the things there, but McMeekan was awesome. Joe Chan, he's impressed again. I think he's an early Young Player of the Year contender. Very early days, obviously, Alan, but I've got him in my kind of thought process for the shortlists.
I haven't seen enough of him yet, but yeah, I mean, obviously he kind of broke through a bit last year, didn't he? So yeah, fair enough.
And should we have a debate about the Yaha no try? It seemed like possibly less of an infraction on that by Lange than what Yaha did himself in the build up to the Chan try, where he shoved the young winger over, rather than what seemed like possibly a attempt to reach around the defender.
It's funny. My notes are literally almost exactly what you just said.
Okay.
We really should come. We should have some contrast anyway. But yeah, no, I would have reversed the decisions, but you'd have ended up with the same result. So that's the vagaries of officiating, isn't it? Some things you're going to see one way, some things you see another. That's just the way it was. They were both kind of potential. But if they'd both been rolled out as kind of pushes in the back, that might be it might be all right as well. So, but there was an element of fortune about Austin's Leeds' only score, wasn't there, as well? So
definitely. Well, none of the tries were super convincing. You could, I'm sure the South Stand were shouting for a forward pass on the Yaha try, but to me the more worrying thing there is two or three defenders came off and came across and kind of got nowhere near holding him up in any way, shape or form. That makes Leeds look a bit lightweight. Nice hands from Big Sam for the winning score, the Chan try. So, fair play there. But even the highlights were constructed in a way to show Leeds fluffing the lines on chances. Yeah. And if in the sort of left channel they could have caught a pass, they had way enough chances to win this game, I thought, Leeds. I don't think there was a side that was a better side. I think there was a side that just coped a bit better, got a lead, and didn't fuck up as much.
Yeah. If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm not panicking yet. They've played three, on paper, good sides, haven't they? Kind of playoff chasing sides.
Yes, yeah.
So it hasn't been a balanced start to their schedule, you would say. So no need to panic yet, but there are there's clearly some stuff that needs working on, as you say, kind of going forward. Their kind of cohesiveness isn't there yet, is it? For whatever reason,
Caesar's not quite there yet. It feels like, and obviously bringing in Walker rather than when they had Myler as what they'd intended, I think, to go into this season with at fullback is another sort of thing that they've had to adjust to. It's not like a downgrade, is it, necessarily, but it's an adjustment. It's a different style.
Yeah, obviously he's a completely different style of player, isn't he? He's an adapted fullback rather than a specialist. But yeah, obviously Myler last year did some really good things kind of around the kind of playmaking element of the game.
And those last passes for tries, he had quite a lot of a say in, didn't he, I suppose? And he's better at that than Walker.
I have memories of him getting lots of assists from that way. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no panic. But yeah, the Leeds aren't quite where they need to be. I think that's underestimating.
Yeah, I suppose if at the end of the year, if they come out of it with games where they've lost to Wigan, Warrington, and Catalans, they wouldn't be saying, say they win the reverse fixtures for all of those, they'd probably be happy with 1 out of 2 against all of those sides.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's dangerous to judge the table after 3 weeks, isn't it?
Although the top 3 does have a very familiar look to what we've been used to seeing in the top 4 recent times. Okay, there was another game on Thursday night as well, because of the footballs pitches needing whatever. Wigan and Huddersfield, 2 teams that do share their homes with football pitches. So there you go. It finished 22-12 in favour of the home side Warriors. It was 16-6 at half-time. 10,291 braved what were increasingly awful conditions on Thursday night. Tom Grant was the referee controlling it all. In terms of the team stats, the stats were quite close actually. Huddersfield made just more metres. Wigan made their metres at just a bit better average gain, kind of equaling out there. There was 10 errors each, so that equaled itself out. Wigan conceded a few more penalties in the game, but had a better team tackle success rate, so that evened itself out. The 1 point of difference really in the stats was 5 breaks by Wigan to 2 by Huddersfield. That was where Wigan stood above the Giants in this one. Do you want to take us through the individual stats?
Yeah, so Sam Powell had a try assist, 51 tackles, 10 of which were for marker. Liam Farrell, 2 tries, 105 metres, 2 clean breaks. I bet somebody was happy on Thursday. John Bateman, a try and 158 metres, and Cade Ellis with 112. For Huddersfield, Owen Trout had 40 tackles. Jerry McGilvery did Jerry Things, 124 metres, and Innes Senior with a try assist and 106 metres.
Yeah, Sam Powell's actually top of the tackling charts the moment in Super League, so don't know what's happened to Danny Houghton, but he's like about 5 behind him or something. No, he's not. He's more than that. He's 16 behind him. Blooming heck. Into the fan views, Callum Percy, the Wigan drummer, said, "From what I heard on the radio, it was a pleasing win, showing that we can still put in a half-decent performance, even when we're not playing our best. As they say, you're a good team when you can get wins, even if you're not playing to your full potential. P.S. I've officially nicked HMS Piss the League. Don't do that. Never happens. Come on, Callum, you must know that by now. It's like always our year, but much smaller."
What I really want to know is was Callum playing his drum even while listening to the radio? These are important details that we need to know.
Callum was working Thursday and Friday night this week, I think. So
was he playing his drum while he was working? These are all.
So
these
someone
all things
else was playing the drum.
All right, okay. He learned it out.
Well, the cowbell was there. I know that much for sure.
Anyway, Dylan says, looked clueless in attack, which seems fair, missing 2 key players in Theo and Levi. Still not sure why it's a 2-game ban. Tui try, highlight of our game. Price and Russell didn't really create much, seemed to just keep hold of the ball in key moments. Grant seemed to make some strange decisions, like knock-ons from what we saw in the corner they sat us in, but take many positives from the game, hopefully keep consistent and get to the playoffs.
Get more of your mates to come next time, Dylan. We might open the end for you. Do you know what? I spoke to Mark W, who's coming up in a minute, about these knock-ons, because the Huddersfield fans were convinced that Jermaine McGilvery didn't knock on in the build-up to, I think, Jake Bibby's try, or maybe it was a build-up to the Liam Farrell second try. But either way, from where we were looking at it, he fumbled the ball when he went to pick it up, so it looked like a knock-on, but the Huddersfield fans thought he didn't fumble the ball. So, I don't know. The referees were much closer than any of us were, let's put it that way. But there was a dodgy one in the second half, for sure, where Jerry knocked on, but it definitely went backwards, and he gave it as a knock-on. But I tell you what, Jerry, keep hold of the ball, mate, and then there's no question marks about it.
What did Jen have to say?
Jen K said, another freezing cold one at the DW. Not quite as flamboyant as the previous 2 games, but some nicely worked tries. Huddersfield looked good to me, but we could have kept out their tries with better concentration. Wigan are a joy to watch at the moment.
Mark W says, a really entertaining game between 2 good sides. Both packs looked really strong in the arm wrestle, but the lack of Farge and Levi stunted some of our attacking edge. Playing Tui in the halves and Price at fullback, as advertised, might have been a better option. Even though we lost, I'm happy with how we handled our first proper test of the year. Hopefully a lot more to come from this side.
Yeah, I think it's fair for Dylan and Mark to be positive. Matt Speakman said, not the prettiest, but I quite enjoyed that. Rumours were of NRL scouts to see Price, but he looked lost without a strong half to plan the attacks. They'll be after KPP, though. He can clearly play in the back line. They love that in a player. No idea why anyone runs at Tommy anymore, because they always get folded. For a halfback, George Williams is a great defender, but Tommy is a machine like no other halfback I've seen.
White Pie says, Wigan and Huddersfield fought out a tough game on a night overshadowed for Wigan by the passing of Twigamala. Wigan lost Cust to a HIA in the first tackle, but returned with it all clear. Two teams went set for set before the goal